In the mid-90s, the world of first-person shooters was heating up. Games like DOOM and Wolfenstein 3D were laying the groundwork for the genre, but one game dared to go beyond running down hallways and shooting demons. That game was Descent. Released in 1995 by Parallax Software and published by Interplay. This was no ordinary shooter. Descent introduced players to the concept of 6 degrees of freedom, allowing complete movement in 3-dimensional space. For the first time, you weren't just strafing and turning. You were twisting, rolling, and flipping through dizzying zero-gravity tunnels. It was like Doom had met a flight simulator, and the result was absolutely mind-blowing. While the gameplay was a massive departure from the norm, the technology behind Descent was equally groundbreaking. It featured a fully 3D rendered environment, complete with real-time lighting and complex textures, all running smoothly on the PCs of the day. The game even supported early network multiplayer, making it a pioneer in LAN gaming. If you ever hooked up with friends for a Descent deathmatch, you know the chaotic thrill of dogfighting in zero gravity. The adrenaline was unmatched, and those bragging rights, pure gold. The narrative of Descent is a straightforward yet engaging setup that perfectly complements its gameplay. Set in a not-so-distant future, humanity's expansion across the galaxy has been fueled by vast mining operations on distant planets. These mining facilities are operated by a megacorporation known as the Post-Terran Mining Corporation. On the surface, they appears to be a powerhouse of innovation and resource extraction, but underneath, something sinister is brewing. The story begins with a critical situation. An advanced artificial intelligence system controlling the mining robots has gone rogue. The once benign mining bots have turned into aggressive killing machines, overrunning facilities across the solar system and beyond. Worse, the AI has taken control of these facilities' defensive systems, transforming them into impenetrable fortresses. As the unnamed protagonist, you are hired to pilot the Pyro GX, a highly advanced spacecraft capable of navigating the labyrinthine tunnels of the mining complexes. Your mission is deceptively simple: infiltrate these robotic strongholds, rescue the hostages, destroy the reactors powering the rogue AI's operations, and escape before the entire facility detonates. What makes the story of Descent stand out isn't just its premise, but how the narrative is subtly woven into the gameplay. There's no lengthy exposition or cutscenes. Instead, you piece the story together through mission briefings and the evolving threats in the mines. The eerie silence of abandoned facilities, the ominous hum of reactors, and the relentless pursuit of drones all contribute to a sense of urgency and unease. While the plot itself isn't overly complex, it reflects the game's focus on atmosphere and gameplay. The sparse storytelling leaves much to the imagination, allowing players to feel like they're truly part of this harrowing mission. At its core, Descent is a first-person shooter, but it completely rewrote the rules of the genre. Instead of simply moving on a flat plane like in Doom or Duke Nukem 3D, Descent embraced the concept of 6 degrees of freedom. This meant you could pitch, roll, strafe, climb, and dive through the twisting corridors of its zero-gravity mining environments, creating a level of spatial complexity that had never been seen before. Navigating this environment was a skill in itself. The Pyro GX, your nimble spacecraft, could rotate on all axes, allowing you to flip upside down or spiral through enemy-infested tunnels. This freedom was both liberating and disorienting, as you constantly had to adjust to enemies attacking from any angle. Unlike traditional shooters, you couldn't rely on walls or ceilings to ground your perspective. Everything felt fluid and chaotic. Combat in Descent was less about speedrunning and more about mastering control and situational awareness. The level design in Descent played to its strengths, offering sprawling, labyrinthine layouts filled with twists, turns, and hidden passageways. While each level had a core objective, destroying a reactor and escaping before the mine exploded, the real challenge came in finding the reactor while battling increasingly clever AI-controlled enemies. Combat was a core focus, and the game offered a variety of weapons to keep things fresh. Your Pyro GX was equipped with standard lasers, but as you progressed, you gained access to more powerful tools like the spread-fire cannon, homing missiles, and the devastating Mega Missile. Another key aspect of Descent's gameplay was its focus on resource management. Ammo and shield power-ups were scattered throughout the mines, but they were often guarded by enemies or hidden in hard-to-reach areas. Energy stations provided a welcome reprieve, allowing you to recharge your laser ammo, but finding them wasn't always easy. Multiplayer was another groundbreaking feature of Descent, setting the stage for LAN-based deathmatches that became legendary among PC gaming circles. Up to 8 players could battle it out in dogfights across custom maps, with the game's unique mechanics creating an unpredictable and adrenaline-fueled experience. While modern multiplayer games may feel more polished, there was something raw and thrilling about these early matches. Overall, Descent's gameplay was a masterclass in innovation. Its combination of fluid movement, clever level design, and intense combat created an experience that was as challenging as it was rewarding. It demanded precision, quick thinking, and adaptability, cementing its place as one of the most technically and mechanically advanced games of its era. When Descent launched in 1995, it was hailed as a technical marvel, and much of that praise was directed at its cutting-edge graphics and immersive sound design. For a game running on mid-90s PCs, Descent pushed the boundaries of what players thought their systems could handle, delivering visuals and audio that not only impressed but also enhanced the tension and thrill of gameplay. The most immediately striking aspect of Descent's graphics was its fully 3D rendered environments. Unlike the pseudo-3D visuals of Doom or Wolfenstein 3D, Descent operated in a true 3D space. This allowed for complex, multi-layered level designs with twisting tunnels, open caverns, and claustrophobic passageways. Real-time lighting effects added another layer of immersion. Explosions would illuminate the dark corridors, while the glow of reactors created an eerie atmosphere. The dynamic lighting wasn't just eye candy. It played into the gameplay, helping you identify threats or navigate the mines when visibility was limited. While the game was visually groundbreaking, it wasn't without its drawbacks. The textures, while effective, could become repetitive over long play sessions, and the limited color palette occasionally made it hard to distinguish details in chaotic firefights. Additionally, the resolution, standard for the time, could make distant enemies or environmental hazards difficult to see. However, these minor issues did little to diminish the overall impact of the game's visuals. In fact, Descent's clean and efficient graphical style ensured smooth performance even on lower-end PCs, which was critical to its widespread adoption. The sound design in Descent was just as innovative, playing a huge role in the game's ability to create tension and atmosphere. From the moment you launched your Pyro GX into the mines, you were enveloped in a world of ominous hums, mechanical whirs, and echoing explosions. The sound effects for the enemy robots were particularly memorable, each one distinct enough to alert you to the type of threat approaching. Hearing the high-pitched screech of a kamikaze drone or the grinding metal footsteps of a hulking robot instantly set your nerves on edge. The soundtrack, composed by a team of musicians including Ron Valdez and Larry Peacock, was a high-energy mix of techno and industrial rock. The music wasn't just background noise. It pulsed and thumped alongside the action, ramping up the adrenaline during heated battles. The game also featured some of the earliest implementations of 3D positional audio. If you had a stereo setup, or better yet, a surround sound configuration, you could pinpoint enemy positions based on their sound cues. This wasn't just a neat feature, it was a critical gameplay mechanic, helping you react to threats in the disorienting zero-gravity environment. Few games of the time had audio systems this advanced, and Descent's implementation added a layer of immersion that set it apart. In terms of technical achievement, Descent's graphics and sound were leaps ahead of many of its competitors. The visuals drew players into its alien world of twisted tunnels, while the soundscape kept them on edge, amplifying the game's intense and claustrophobic atmosphere. Together, they formed a cohesive experience that made Descent not just a game, but a sensory adventure that players still remember fondly today. Descent left a legacy that is still remembered fondly by fans of classic PC gaming. Its groundbreaking design, technical achievements, and unique gameplay mechanics set it apart from the wave of first-person shooters flooding the market in the mid-1990s. One of Descent's most enduring legacies is its introduction of 6 degrees of freedom in a shooter format. This design inspired a handful of spiritual successors and heavily influenced games in adjacent genres. Titles like Forsaken and Overload directly took up the mantle, delivering similar experiences to a new generation of players. Multiplayer is another area where Descent made a significant mark. Released at a time when online gaming was still in its infancy, Descent helped pave the way for LAN-based multiplayer experiences. Its deathmatch mode, while primitive by today's standards, created some of the first truly competitive multiplayer battles in a 3D space. For many players, these matches were their first taste of head-to-head gaming that went beyond traditional flat maps, introducing the chaos and unpredictability of full 3D dogfights. The excitement of these encounters lives on in modern LAN and online gaming culture. In 1995, fully 3D rendered environments with real-time lighting effects were rare, especially in a game that ran smoothly on mid-range PCs. Parallax Software's engine was a marvel of optimization and foresight, setting a benchmark for performance that other developers aspired to match. This technical excellence not only wowed players at the time, but also solidified Descent as a showcase for what PC gaming hardware could achieve. Descent cultivated a devoted fan base that remains active even decades after its release. Fan-made mods, maps, and community patches have kept the game alive on modern hardware, preserving its unique experience for new generations. Communities like the Descent Rangers and various online forums have helped maintain the game's relevance, hosting tournaments, sharing strategies, and even working on open-source projects to rebuild or remaster the original game. This level of dedication highlights the emotional connection players felt with Descent's groundbreaking gameplay. In retrospect, Descent stands as a shining example of the risks and rewards of innovation in game design. Its unique mechanics, ambitious technical execution, and lasting fan community have ensured its place in the annals of gaming history. For those who were there when it first launched, Descent was more than a game. It was a promise of what the medium could achieve. And for new players who discover it today, it remains a thrilling reminder of a time when developers weren't afraid to push boundaries and challenge expectations.